आज आपके नाम डॉक्टर अख्तर सिंधु अपने मेहमान के साथ हर पीर की शाम यूके टाइम 5 बजे, पाकिस्तान टाइम 10 बजे देखना मत भूलिएगा, सिर्फ और सिर्फ GSTV यूके पर। इस प्रोग्राम के लिए हमारे साथ ताउन किया है लाहौरी डेरा, स्टॉकपुट रोड, मैनचेस्टर।
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम, सत श्री अकाल friends. You know, we always arrange some big personality for you, and today we have a teacher with us, and she is Nhora Gomez from Chicago, United States of America. Nhora Gomez, she is a teacher, researcher, trainers. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Doctor?
First of all, we thank you for sparing some time for our channel. So this is GSTV UK and Aaj Aap Naam. This is a program. I host this program on Monday, 10 o'clock according to Pakistani time. So today you are our guest. You are most welcome in our program.
It is an honor to be here with you, and thank you so much for interviewing me, and thank you for to GSTV as well.
Okay, friends, Nora Gomez, she is a teacher at Daniel Hall Williams School of Medicine, Chicago, Illinois, United States of America. She is teacher, she is researcher, trainers, and she has so many qualities. She is a manifold personality. So we are very much lucky having her with us. So today we are starting some discussion about school system, education system in Chicago. And before we start this program, we have some pictures and the journey of life through pictures. So we request our bureau chief to start the journey of life of Nora Gomez through pictures. So let's watch the pictures of achievements of Nora. Okay, please. Oh, that's fine. Thank you. Friends, you have watched different pictures of Nora Gomez. She is the teacher at Daniel Hill Williams School of Medicine, Chicago. Nora, we want to know about your family background. So tell us in detail about your family background.
Okay, I was born in Colombia. My father and my mother, well, my brother came to the United States first, and he served in the military during the Vietnam War. Um, so he sent for my parents, mom and dad came, and then they sent for me. My brother is a teacher. Well, he is retired now, but he was a teacher for many, many years. My other brother was in the hotel management business. My sister was a nurse, so everybody kind of was a professional. So that's basically, I did my high school in Colombia. I came here to study, but instead of studying, I got married. So I came back later and kind of a late bloomer in that sense.
Okay, so do you think that you came from Colombia? It was different culture, different environment, different land, and when you came to Chicago, so what was the difference?
Oh my God. It was culture shock. Absolute culture shock. Um, in our culture, we are raised to You listen to your parents, you obey your parents, you don't argue, you don't talk back, you don't do any of the things that kids here in the United States do. So yeah, it was pretty shocking. I could read English because I took English in high school over there, and so but the plan for that I had was to go to Paris, so that didn't happen. I took French and I took English, but when I came here, I couldn't speak it. So basically, the only way I could communicate was by writing, which was really interesting. But my brother encouraged me a lot. My older brother, he encouraged me a lot, and he just basically is like, "You learn English or else," and I did. I did. I survived. It was basically, I went to a school for a while. I got my GED, which is kind of the equivalent to the high school because the high school papers from Colombia are not valid here. So I finished my GED and then I got married and then I went back to school. But it was totally different. Absolutely.
Hmm. So, what was the attitude of the teachers? What was the expertise of the teacher? Were they very much passionate and kind towards the students? How you found your teachers during your schooling, especially here in the United States?
They were very caring. It was a school for adults, but the people was very, very caring. They really made sure that we could survive, like and learn the language. Very compassionate, and they were not as strict as I was used to back in Colombia, where education there is very different. It's a lot stricter. You have to really study to in order to survive. Here, they're a lot more gentler. They they help you a lot more.
Constitution of America is very short, consisting of few pages, and every state has different laws.
Right.
So, what is special focus on education according to the constitutional stand?
Actually, in the United States Constitution, there's not a word about education. Actually, education was not a responsibility of the state until the only mention that is in there is after the Civil Rights Act in 1965, but that was basically to integrate the schools. But before then, there was nothing. And when you look at the Constitution, there's no stipulation for education there. So that was left up to the states.
No, I think that, don't you think that there is a mention of education in the Bill of Rights, the basic rights?
No. No, there's nothing, not guaranteeing. I mean, no, not really. There's no nothing that guarantees. In the state
Mhm.
constitutions is where you find the rights. A right to a adequate free education, like here in Illinois. I know about the Constitution of Illinois mostly because this is the one that I deal with, but there is no guarantee. I mean, there's nothing that says that you have to be in school or anything like that. In Illinois, yeah, that's where we find the laws that you have to be in school until the age of 16.
Hmm. So, what's the role of the state in this education, especially your state, Illinois?
That you have a right to an adequate education all the way up to 16 years old. If it is a person with disabilities, learning disabilities, then you can stay in school until you are 21. I think they raised the age to 22 this year, but other than that, the schools are responsible for providing this. Otherwise, you're violating the rights of the child.
So, what next? Tertiary education, university education. Is it not responsibility of the state?
Not university. It's just elementary and high school. If you want to go to college, good for you. If you don't, I mean, not everybody wants to go to college. Some people like to be in the trades as well. So there is no there is no provision for college or higher education.
So, what's the trend of youth towards the college or university life? Do they like to go to universities or college, or just they want to have their job after school education?
Well, in today's economy, you have to. Um, Before you could survive with a high school degree and you could get a job and not a problem. Now is different. It's totally different. It's almost a necessity to have a degree of some sort in order to be able to make it in society. So yeah, a lot of them, and that's why the name prep school, because it's a preparatory. Basically, all the students that come into our school are expected to go to college. There's also trade schools in which they'll work more on the trades. There's not a whole lot of them left, but at the school where I work and all the schools I have worked, we expect the kids to go to college. As a matter of fact, at Williams Prep, we that's a requirement that you have applied before graduation. You had to have applied to a few universities, and you had to have been accepted either at a city college or at a major university. And I mean, it's a requirement that you do your FAFSA, which is the application for financial aid. So yeah, we do expect all the kids to go to college. And the kids, I mean, yeah, they at my school, they definitely want to go to college.
Okay, so as teacher, your school contains the word medicine, School of Medicine. So should we?
Okay, my school is located in the south side of the city. So we deal with a lot of minorities and a lot of people that are kind of on the lower economical um, range. So we the principal, that the woman that decided to create the school, wanted to target this school so to facilitate minority students to get into the medical field. That the
What do
name of
you
the
mean?
school,
What do you mean by minority students?
all of our students at my school, all of the students are African American.
Hmm.
We have one Hispanic student, but yeah, people,
And
non-Caucasians, basically.
Muslims and other communities are not residing in the city?
There's multiple communities. Unfortunately, Chicago is a very segregated city. So we
Hmm.
kind of study in pockets all over the city. So you have the Greek town, you have Little Italy, you have Little Village, which is for the Hispanics. So it's very segregated.
Hmm.
In the south side is known for being African American for the most part. So that's where our school is located. So the idea was that people likes to go to the doctor, to a doctor that looks more like you because they might understand you better. So the idea was to channel these kids into the medical fields. So at the school we offer a few programs that the kids can take. So in their sophomore year, they start training that they can either be a CNA, they can be a pharmacology, they could work in a pharmacy, or they could just assist a doctor.
At what
So they
level?
have,
They're kid and they're quite young people, and they're being offered courses relating to medicine or
yes,
pharmacy.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, they do. We have a really amazing program. The medical program at our school is really good. They built a state of the art simulation, so they have the patients, and it's a lot of fun actually to see them, taking blood pressure, learning how to put shots, all that. They love it. The kids love it.
That's great. And do you have some courses relating to psychology?
Yes. When I went to the University of Minnesota. I wanted to become so actually my what I wanted to do was be a counselor. So I took but I love psychology. Uh, so I took every class I could find in psychology, psychopathology, social psychology, you name it, I took it. I loved it. I loved it. So when I came to Williams, I was given the opportunity to teach psychology, and I'm loving it. That's my favorite class to teach because it's so much fun.
So
Besides,
at the moment, you must have the membership of different forums, organizations. So what kind
yeah.
of membership do you have?
Oh God, I have a few. If I can think of all. Okay, I belong to the American Psychologists Association. That's the only one that I have related to psychology. I am also into the national history teachers. I can't remember the names right now, but I belong to two other I have two other memberships with history related organizations.
Mhm. So you are expert in history, in psychology, in medicine, in training.
Not medicine so much, but psychology and US history. That's those two are my passions.
Okay, so we go ahead to the school system. What's the school system of your state?
Okay, so we are divided in different, okay, particularly in Chicago, we divided in networks. So we have the state, they give some funds for education. And then there's the city, which is CPS, Chicago Public Schools. We it's like a cosmos in itself because the city is so big and there's so many students. So we have a board of education here in Chicago that they are kind of the ones who lead and supervise the schools, and they decide what's going to happen with the schools here in Chicago. Then after them, we have the local council, which is formed by parents and teachers and the principal of every school. We have networks that supervise the principals, and then every school has a principal and an assistant principal. So basically, I'm kind of at the bottom of
Okay.
of the
Mhm. So I think that some portion from Constitution or Declaration of Independence is being taught to the students in school at school level.
Oh yes,
Is it
absolutely.
true?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I teach that. Sophomores, 10th graders, they do take the Constitution. They take a test on the Constitution. So we go in depth into the Constitution. We look at court cases. We look at the amendments. We look at the 7 articles in detail, and so that they understand how democracy is supposed to work. And at the end of the year, not at the end of the semester, they take a test, and they have to pass it with a 75% or better in order to be able to graduate. But yeah, we do absolutely. That's what I teach basically for the 10th graders.
Mhm. So what's the arrangement of sports for the students in your school?
I'm sorry.
Games,
Oh,
games and sports.
well, wow. DuSable campus has the Lady Panthers and the Panthers. So we have a football team, we had volleyball, we had basketball, and we had track and field. So the kids are pretty
So
good.
you have so many activities, and this is very good to know about your system, about the effort you are making for the children. So who or which organizations fund all these activities and school?
That all comes from the funds that are given to each school. So basically, it comes from partly from the city and partly from the state, and all of this comes from the taxes. Here in Chicago, mostly from property taxes. So that's where the money comes from. And the federal government sometimes it gives some money as well for this. So there's like three piles. We have a system of lottery here in the States. So all the proceeds a part of the proceeds from the lottery go to the schools. So that's how we are able to fund all of these programs. But it's mostly out of
Hmm.
the
So
taxes.
I'm looking at some books behind you, and in Pakistan we perceive that Western countries are needing no more the libraries. They have their laptops and all the books online and dictionary online, so there is no need of libraries. So still, you have libraries in your school?
We had a library until a few years back. Unfortunately, due to cuts in funds, they closed it, and that
Mhm.
was a big loss. We had an amazing librarian, and the kids, because we used to do history fair, and I would take the kids to the library, and the librarian would help me a lot with the kids. Actually, with the history fair, we were able to make it all the way to state level because the kids had the access to these books and research tools. Now we don't have a library anymore, so everything has to be done online, or they go to the public library, but they tend not to do it. So they everything is coming from online. I mean, you can find most encyclopedias online, but yeah, it's a shame that they just took away all of the libraries.
Basically, I was questioning whether the teachers and students have keenness in having books or they don't like books.
We have books. Oh yeah, we have books. For every class, we had textbooks. Do I use textbooks as a reference? Mostly, I prefer to have them work with primary documents. Since it's history and it's U.S. history, I have access to all the documents. So instead of looking at it in a book, I rather give them the Declaration of Independence and ask questions and okay, analyze it. What are the principles that is promoting, and have them have some critical thinking skills so that they can understand the document as opposed to memorize anything. So we try to do that now at the school. Just about everybody has that system.
This is fantastic and surprising as well that the tender minds are being offered by the teachers the basic documents, the prime resources.
Yeah, they need to
Is it good?
understand it.
They must have some pages.
Well, it helps with the reading levels. It helps them understand what things are really about. So we just about everybody in the building prefers to use, you know, like in physics and that they do experiments, they do that. They don't really follow a book, but they are everything is hands on as much as we can. It works.
So it means that you have very good libraries, very good laboratories, very good playgrounds, and it needs huge funding.
Again, CPS funds all of these. Unfortunately, at the place where I am, we don't get a lot of funds because it's a very small school. So it all depends on how many students we have. So yeah, it's a very small school. We are not very well known, unfortunately, but the program is amazing because you have classes of very small classes. It's almost like one on one. We can do a lot of these things. um, I have classes of 12, 14 students, so it's almost like a private school. And so we do have a really good program, but not a whole lot of money to resources to be able to buy more,
Hmm.
like the labs and all of this. We could use a little more funds for that.
So you had class system, direct teaching system before the lockdown of coronavirus, and during the lockdown, you had to take classes online. So do
That
you
was
think
a
it
nightmare.
was the loss of the students or
Yes,
quality education?
absolutely. Absolutely. It was really difficult on the students and on the teachers. It was very stressful. It was a lot of work because we went from having physical paper and physical, writing down things and taking notes and this and that, to being completely online, not being to go to the student and say, hey, how are you doing, or check or anything. So we were completely online. It was very frustrating. A lot of the kids were not really engaged. We lost a lot of engagement. But again, you can't expect a 14-year-old to sit in front of a computer for 7 hours and still be engaged. It was really difficult. So yes, I think we lost a lot of the quality, not because we didn't try, but because the whole environment. And then they were facing people with that died of COVID. They were facing a lot of trauma, the lack of socialization. It was really difficult.
So you have told that many communities from different background are residing in your city. So is there some peaceful environment and people are living as a friendly community, or they have some problem with each other?
Um, Chicago is known for being not a very peaceful place. We do have
Mhm.
some problems. Yes, we do have some problems with violence. We're dealing with that. Uh, but there's a lot of areas that are perfectly quiet and nice and peaceful to live in. Whenever there's poverty and lack of opportunity, uh, people get desperate, and crime tends to rise. So after the pandemic, during the pandemic, a lot of the people lost their jobs and lost their means of surviving. So we are having some problems because of the socioeconomic situation in Chicago right now, especially in the South Side, unfortunately.
So state was not funding the jobless people.
Well, they can. The United States has a system of unemployment. So basically, when you are working, they take money out of the paycheck for unemployment. There's kind of a reserve. So when you lose your job, you can actually survive on this. So yeah, there is a system in which they help. Uh, but it's not the full salary. It's just a portion of the salary. So it's not the same. And just being in the house, and that is pretty depressing. It affects you mentally in a big way. So yeah, there is some funds. I mean, there's programs where they like food pantries and that, where people can get resources. So yeah, there's a lot of help out there. I can't say that there's nothing, but some people are not really, it's not reaching everybody as it should. We have a lot of homeless, and a lot of people suffering that way.
So during the lockdown, we had information through media that many Americans did not accept lockdown. They said that government wanted to usurp their freedom or independence and personal liberty. So they will not accept it,
Still
and
fighting
that they
that
were
fight.
making some demonstrations. They
Yes,
were
still fighting
protesting
that
against
fight.
lockdown.
There's people, the deniers. They don't believe in the vaccine. They don't believe that it's going to make any difference, because it's not a 100% guarantee that they will not get COVID. So a lot of people refuse to be vaccinated. And that's a problem, because if one of them gets
So, what
COVID,
was the situation in Chicago? People were
actually in Chicago, it was not that big of a problem. A lot
starters.
of us went and got vaccinated. I think it was like 65% of the people in Chicago was vaccinated. So it was kind of a majority of the people that accepted. Um, there's deniers everywhere. So yeah, we're still fighting that fight. People refuse to be vaccinated. People refuse to use masks, and they put everybody else at risk. So, but they claim that that's their first right amendment. So, it's
What,
really difficult.
so were they joining some or arranging some merriments and some gathering?
Yes. Well, not so much here. because it was, I mean, there was a few gatherings and that, but it was not excessive. It was not until recently that we have a big musical festival, and a lot of people attended. And thanks God there was no, there was a little spike on the cases, but it wasn't too bad. But most everybody has been vaccinated. So, and even the high school students are being vaccinated. They're like, I better be safe than sorry. So they are. Here in Chicago, it hasn't been that bad. It's the states that it's been a lot more serious.
Especially, I want to raise the point if um, we believe that in the United States there is a rule of law, and if government had banned the gathering, but even then gatherings were there.
Yes, well, it was banned for safety reasons.
Yes.
So they could gather, and they did gather. I mean, it was not like you couldn't have like big crowds. Um,
I think. Hmm, you have internet problem, I think.
I don't know if it is me. I don't. Is it freezing?
Okay,
Oh,
please continue if you can't correct it. So please continue.
okay. So yeah, they were got, but those were kind of illegal. So if the police would get a complaint about, well, there's like 100 people here, then they would go and break it up. It was for the safety of the people, so it is understood that yes, we do have an amendment that says that we had the right to assembly, but if it is against this, if it is going to
Hmm.
put everybody else in danger, then we can just suspend that.
That was the basic point.
Yes.
Well, I think that Nora is facing some internet problem. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you and I can see you clearly. I don't know why is I can according to this everything is fine on this end.
Okay, so let us move ahead. So I want to know about the attitude of the head teacher or headmistress or principal, whatever you say. What is her attitude towards the staff?
Oh, she's amazing. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky. Our principal, Juliana Naselli, she's amazing. Very firm, very strict, but she's very fair at the same time. Very supportive. Actually, she let me take a day off today so that I could be here. She's very, very supportive of us teachers. Always looking for ways to help us improve ourselves. Allow us to go to any professional development events that we can. She's very, very supportive. So I'm really lucky that she's an amazing leader. Have a lot of respect
So
for her.
you are you the only lucky? Are you the only lucky teacher, or other teachers are also lucky?
Everybody likes her in school. No, and no, we all like her. I mean, in the sense, teachers tend to stay, and that's one big measure. If you are not happy, you're going to go somewhere else, right? But teachers tend to stay. Most of
Yes.
us have been 7 8 years. I've been there for 15. I have a friend, well, another coworker, she's been there for 16 years. So that's the range of people there. Most everybody has been there at least 7 6 years at least. So there's not like a revolving door of teachers. We all get there and we stay and we don't want to leave, and we just love it there.
So who makes the syllabus?
Who makes the what? I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Syllabus for the students. Syllabus.
Oh, the syllabus. Oh, every teacher has their own
Course.
for each class. We do. We do.
The school does not project any syllabus.
No,
Neither
we do.
state nor school.
They give us a I mean, the state has a curriculum set, so there's certain things that you have to teach. Okay, so like you said, the Declaration of
Mhm.
Independence, Constitution. There's certain topics that we are expected and mandated to teach. We do create a syllabi, though, in the sense that we decide how, when, and what method we're going to use to teach the subjects that we are teaching. So yeah, we are responsible for that, but they are approved by the principal. So we create it, submit it for approval. Once it's approved, then we distribute it to the students. So,
So if you teach some portion of the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, and that can be interpreted in different way by the teachers. Some teacher can belong to Democrats, and some of the teacher are Republican, so they can interpret it in different way. So there would not be a political issue.
no, not at all. Because I mean, basically, we need to put our political views aside when we are teaching. I know it's hard, but I mean, you are teaching a document, right? It is in black and white right here. So you can really go too far off the document. We are considering court cases. So let's say what has the court decided on cases related to the First Amendment, to freedom of speech. So we look at the
Yeah.
cases and yeah, we try not to influence. We do the best we can not to influence the students in our political views. Like we don't tell them who we voted for. We don't tell them.
How you can avoid it? How you can
It's
avoid if
not
you are
hiding.
talking about the war of civil war, if you are African Americans, and all these things are very problematic in American history. So how you can be unbiased? This is hard to understand.
Oh boy. Totally unbiased is I don't think that's possible. We all have our own biases. We all have our own way of seeing things. So yes, we are going to take a little detour that way. I try to teach what they need to know and the way it happened, and that's why I use primary sources for the most part, so that they can actually read the documents and decide.
I
I try
think
not.
I think you, I think that your school or your authorities must have deleted some portion of history. For example, um, definitely the school would offer some courses on Martin Luther King Jr., his nonviolence movement. Yes?
Not courses completely, but we do talk
Okay.
about
Not
what he
topics,
did.
just topics. Okay, topics. So what about Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X? You will not teach, I'm sure.
We mention them when we talk about the civil rights movement. Yes, definitely. We do teach African American history. That's not my department. That's another teacher. But we do teach African American history, and we do have, not at my school because we don't have any Latinos, but we also teach Latin American history. Actually, I taught that at another school for a few years. So yes, we do teach them about their own history, and that's when we really get into, okay, who was Martin Luther King in in depth. Who was
So what about Red Indians? Do you teach about Red Indians?
We do not use the term red Indians at all.
Okay.
That's no.
What
We co-
what is
indigenous people.
indigenous
Indigenous
people?
people.
Okay.
Uh yes. So
This
yes,
is
we do have
this
to
is
we
very
have
good.
a unit. We
I
have a
appreciate you.
actually we just here in Illinois we just changed Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. So
Mhm.
we celebrate the culture of the indigenous people and the multiple nations, native nations that were here before the Europeans came. So we do teach about them. Yes.
This is very good, and I appreciate your policymakers and curriculum makers and other course makers. I do appreciate the effort that you mentioned all about the actors of history. This is wonderful. So we move ahead about your school. So how teachers are recruited in your school?
We advertise, and this is a citywide system. Basically, you when the principal has an opening, she will report it to CPS, to Human Resources in CPS. Human Resources posts the position. Teachers send the resumes to the principal. She looks at the resumes, the ones that she feels are the most appropriate, then goes to a team. So we have an interviewing team, and the team will interview the teacher and well the final candidates, two, three, four candidates, and then make a decision. If the candidate say that we have two left that are really really good, so we will invite them to teach a demo lesson, and they are observed, and we tend to pick the one that we think is the best fit for the school. But it's not just one person making the decision. It's a community, the whole community making the decision.
In Pakistan, student teachers teach in schools or colleges, and then they offer teaching in private academies or schools owned by them, by themselves, and they get huge money from the students' pockets. So, is there any practice in Chicago to have a private academies by the teachers?
Not by the teachers. We do have private schools, but these private schools are run mostly by the church. So we have Catholic schools. Those are the most of the private schools. They tend to be Catholic schools. I know other churches might have, but there's not a lot of them. Most everybody goes to CPS now. CPS now we are seeing the birth of the charter schools. We have been with this for about the past 10 years, 15 years. Charter schools start popping up. So these are run by private organizations. And we kind of compete with them for students a lot. They, you can really say they're better or worse than CPS. I mean, I stand by CPS. So all my kids were educated in CPS. So yeah,
So,
I don't
do you get huge money as a salary?
know. I wish. I wish. I don't get a huge salary, but I have a huge satisfaction from educating my kids. No, there's although Chicago has we are some of the highest paid in the country. But then again, this is one of the highest cost of living cities in the country. So we the same amount of money that we get, it goes on taxes, on you know, on necessities and that. So we are compensated highly, but we spend a lot.
Don't you protest against the government?
Yes, we do. We go on strike. Yes, we had a strike 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The year of the pandemic, that was the craziest year ever because we went on strike. So we were out for close to a week on strike. And then we came back and bam, the pandemic hit us. And it's like, oh my God, what's going on? But yes, we do go on strike. I was member of the union, and I led in 2012. We had another strike, and I led my school in that strike. That was interesting. So yeah, we do
What were
strike
your
and
demands?
try to get what we need.
What were your demands?
Well, we wanted to get a raise. We but the last strike was more about the kids. We wanted to have a social worker in every school. We wanted to have a nurse in every school every day because we used to have a nurse in the school like twice a week. So say the nurse comes Tuesday, Thursday. So what if the kid gets sick on Wednesday? We deal with it. So now we got that. There's a nurse every day at my school. There's a social worker, and we have a psychologist that comes. So yes, we got a lot of things, but we're mostly about the kids and their mental health. We fight a lot for the kids. Yes, we ask for a raise here and there, but especially the last strike was completely about the kids. We wanted the smaller class sizes. We wanted more funds to for resources for the schools. Um, there was a number of demands that we had. We got some of it, yes. We got the social worker, we got the nurse that is every day at the
What's
school.
the responsibility of social worker in the school? What they do?
Kids have a lot of, I mean, there's kids with a lot of issues. Homelessness,
Hmm.
abuse, um, lots and lots and lots of things that that affect the kids. So um, we need a social worker to deal with them. There's a lot of kids that are victims of abuse and that are having a lot of issues.
Okay.
So the
So
social worker would work with these kids. They receive counseling, and if it is something that is more serious than what she can do, then the child is referred to the psychologist, and the psychologist will work with them.
is there any political interference in the schools?
Not really. Not really. I mean, not at my school, not really.
Hmm.
Again, we are a very small school and we're kind of a tight community. We're like
So
families. So, so no, not
if
really.
you would have a big school, so do you think that there would be some political interference?
I'm sure that there is, because when you have a body of 200 teachers and 1,000 students, that's a lot of opinions, and that's a lot of different sets
No,
of mindsets.
I'm talking in terms of actions, because sometime when a ruling party is facilitating one teacher or head teacher or principal, so when the political rival come, so that government can victimize. It's
I,
not
I
right.
I I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Honestly, I had not seen.
Okay.
Chicago is a democratic city. Let me explain. Chicago is totally democratic. Okay, so
Mhm.
basically, Republicans don't have a foot to stand in Chicago. So yeah, there is no negotiation here. We're all democratic. So there is no real
So
political.
what do you mean when you say democratic?
What do I want?
When you say Chicago people are democratic, what do you mean? They are not Republican?
Oh no, no, we're not. We the great majority of Chicago is Democratic. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was their response to the last elections of Joe
Oh, we
Biden?
were we were overjoyed. Oh God, that was a celebration. Of course we were happy. Yeah, of course we were happy. We were very unhappy with the previous administration, but we're happy. We're good.
Okay, so you have vacations or holidays, long holidays, vacations.
Um, we had two breaks, two long breaks. We have the summer. Well, they're not that long, but anyway. So we have the summer vacation, which is 10 weeks, and then we have winter break, which is 2 weeks. This is what we are all looking forward right now, and then we have a spring break, which is also 2 weeks. It's 10 days. That
So
does, and then mhm,
do you get full salary, full pay during
not
these
for the
vacations?
summer, not for the summer. That's
Okay.
10 painful weeks that we don't get paid. So some of us teach summer school, or we get another job, or if we're really good at saving, then we're good. We don't have to worry about anything. But no, we
Mhm.
don't get paid for the 10 weeks in the summer. We just get paid the winter break. We get paid for 5 days,
Mhm.
and the other five we don't know our own.
50%. It means 50%.
Yes, yes.
This is not good. Teacher
We
must
gotta do what we gotta do.
be.
We just save or get a second job. There's a lot of teachers that have second jobs.
Hmm. Okay. So now we come to the punishment. Do the teachers have right to punish the students?
Oh no,
Not
no,
at.
not like in Pakistan. No,
So what you have listened about Pakistan?
no.
Did
I
the,
don't know. I'm just joking. I'm just. I know. Very little.
why you have quoted Pakistan?
I don't know. Okay, we cannot. No, we can. And I mean, now we have a new initiative, and I love this the way that they're dealing with so-called punishment. What we do is what we call restorative justice. So if a child is acting up, there is a reason behind this. Kids don't act up just because, okay? There's gotta be some kind of social or economic or something going on that is making this child act up. So we kind of address that and try to see what is causing this child to act this way. And we do what we call the restorative justice. So, we it's not so much as um, he cursed me out, they suspend him, because that doesn't work. That, I mean, the kid gets a day off. That doesn't work. So instead of he'll do something that will kind of teach him that his actions were wrong and that he should correct them. And I like that way of doing it. I don't think that punishing a child works very well. So no, we don't
So
punish kids.
if a student is creating problem for other students and they are blocking the teacher to teach properly, so
Every
what?
classroom has a little bell. This that we press the button. There's a little button, and that goes to the main office. Um, or we now with the cell phones, we have the number for the security of. We have security in every building. So basically, either I text one of the securities and say, "Hey, I need you to take this child," or I press the button and I tell the office I'm having some issues. Could you send security to my room? Doesn't happen
What they
often.
do?
Oh, they will take the
What they
child.
do? Security beats.
Yeah, they'll take it to the main office and then they have to face the principal. And that's, they will have to hear from Dr. Naselli.
If you have, if you have, if you have 10 classes and simultaneously 10 in 10 classes 10 students are making a problem for the teachers and teachers are sending 10 students to one principal. So how she will deal with
No, we don't send it to the principal, we send it to the restorative justice person. So she
Mhm.
will deal with them. And if the thing gets to the extreme, then Dr. Naselli will step in and but that's like the whoa, maximum punishment. But
So what is the
that's,
maximum punishment? Is there fine?
suspension, getting suspended. That's serious. An out of school suspension would be the ultimate punishment. Um, that's just about it. But that's that goes on the record, and it is it takes a lot to get to that
Okay,
extent.
so okay, so does your school prepare a report of every student that is sent to the next college or university that this is a naughty boy, this is a criminal
Oh
mind,
no,
and this is like.
no. We let them discover the truth, but no, we don't. There is a disciplinary record that we create. So say that the kid is misbehaving in my class, I will create an anecdotal. enter it in Aspen, which
Mhm.
is the system that we use, and that stays there. So that in the future, like say, or the teacher wants to see how's this kid doing and clicks on discipline, then they'll see all the referrals that this child has had, all the issues that this child. So you kind of like, oh, here comes trouble. But when they go to university, no, we don't send that. We don't send that with them. I mean, kids grow up, they change, you know, they mature. So basically, basically.
It means that you people have very effective um, system. Do
It
you think so?
it works. It works.
It
It's all
works.
in the
So,
relationship
but
of the teacher with
despite
the.
all these, mhm. So relationship with the teachers and student is very, very good. That's fine, excellent. So, but despite all these excellent arrangements, there is a gun culture, and most of the youth is involved in that. What's the reason behind it?
Again, socioeconomic reasons for the most part. Poverty, lack of opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
racism,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
lack of resources. The kids feel threatened. So, and now we had the gang culture. So that is a problem. In Did I lose
So,
you?
gun culture. So, do you think that the gun culture is not being curbed by the education system? Although you have very good educational system, very good arrangements, despite of all this, you could not block this gun culture. What's what's the reason behind it?
At the school level, it's really difficult. I mean, we haven't had any gun issues in my school ever. At least not at Daniel Hall. We haven't had any problems with guns or weapons in general. Um, but I think that this is a societal problem. You cannot We cannot just put it on one area and say, hey, here's the school, you fix it. It's a societal problem. We all had to get together and work with the kids and work for the kids. From the mayor all the way down, we need to make sure that these children have places to go, that they have things to do. And I think that's part of the problem, that once they leave school, they go home, right? But mom's working because she has to work. Uh, and if there's dad is at the house, he's working because there's no other choice. You cannot survive if you don't work. So the children are kind of by themselves for a long period of time until mom and dad come home. And that can lead to them being out on the street doing what they're not supposed to do. We used to have boys club and other places, centers for youth centers, where they could go and play basketball and learn art and different things. They could do different things, but a lot of them were closed down. So now we don't really have a lot of programs for our youth, especially in the area that I'm teaching. So we need to the government has to interfere and intervene and create programs, open up more resources for the kids so they have a place to go instead of being out on the street doing what they're not supposed to be doing. It's again,
No,
it's lack of
uh,
resources
no,
and
we have very short time. Um, So you have told us about your education system, your social setup of especially of Chicago. This is wonderful. So what kind of message you want to convey to the people living in United Kingdom and Pakistan and all over the world where our transmission is being watched by our friends? So what kind of message you have?
the children are our future. Just take care of them, make sure that they are educated, make sure that they are successful, provide them with all the love and all the care that you can because they're our future.
Thank you very much, Nora Gomez. Thank you for wonderful time with us and with our friends. Viewers, Nora Gomez was with us, and she expressed her views, and she told us about their system, education, and teachers, and environment and atmosphere. And she has briefed us about different things. Definitely, we did not know. So, thank you very much for watching this program. And next time, we will be with you with an other wonderful personality. Thank you.
Thank you
Hafiz.
so much.